single expectation you hold is a silent agreement to let another person control your state of mind. Modern social structures are designed to keep you in a state of perpetual waiting, hoping for a promotion, waiting for a text, or depending on a stranger's approval. This dependency softens your competitive edge. Men often feel exhausted and blame their workload, but the true drain is the silent, repetitive disappointment of relying on outcomes they cannot influence. Breaking this cycle requires a specific psychological shift: the practice of expecting absolutely nothing. Drop "I expect nothing" in the comments to signal the start of this shift. Recognizing the trap is the first step towards neutralizing it. Your current mindset likely operates through a series of invisible contracts. These are subconscious rules you've written about how you deserve to be treated, rewarded, and acknowledged. Because reality never signed these contracts, it ignores them. And when reality breaks them, you experience an internal fracture. This fracture leads to predictable, weak behaviors. You get defensive, you explain your worth to people who aren't listening, and you seek closure for situations you didn't create. Closure is a luxury for those who still believe they need something from the other party. Demanding fairness or respect from an indifferent world provides others with a lever to manipulate you. The only tactical response is to starve them of that leverage by removing your emotional investment entirely. Deciding to expect nothing changes your internal chemistry. It replaces the anxiety of "what if" with the cold clarity of "what is." Rejection becomes a non-event because you never walked into the room asking for acceptance. Disrespect fails to land because your sense of self is no longer anchored to the opinions of inconsistent people. You begin to process loss as neutral data. It is a change in variables, not a wound to your character. This is the intersection of dark psychology and high-level discipline. In any social or professional dynamic, the person who requires the least from the interaction inherently holds the most leverage. Sharpening your perspective through an understanding of an indifferent world creates a level of stability that anger can never achieve. By accepting that reality is often inconsistent, you stop fighting the tide and start using its momentum to your own advantage. Masculine stoicism is a practice of emotional mastery. It requires you to feel every impulse without allowing those impulses to dictate your external actions. You observe everything around you. You reveal absolutely nothing that an opponent can use to map your internal weaknesses. When faced with an insult or an irrational argument, silence becomes your primary tool of engagement. Silence starves insecure opponents of the feedback they need to validate their aggression. When they find a vacuum, they lose their rhythm. This lack of feedback forces them to fill the void. They project insecurities, scramble to justify themselves, and eventually expose their true motives. You become unreachable because you've removed the handles people use to pull you into their chaos. Boundaries are enforced through behavior and distance. You don't need to explain a boundary. Your absence or your silence does the work for you. As tactical silence and zero expectation move from conscious efforts to subconscious habits, a significant shift occurs. You are no longer reacting to the world. Instead, you are simply operating within it. Praise fails to ego-inflate you, and criticism fails to diminish you. Both are seen as external noise rather than internal truth. You absorb the facts of a situation without the friction of emotional resistance. If a plan fails, you pivot immediately because you weren't emotionally wedded to the first outcome. This level of adaptability ensures that you remain effective while others are still paralyzed by disappointment. The chaos of the social world cannot reach a man who has stopped looking to external outcomes for his sense of fulfillment. When you no longer require recognition to feel significant, you gain a form of internal autonomy that cannot be granted or taken away by anyone else. The core law is simple. The world cannot defeat a man it cannot provoke. People cannot control a person whose reactions they cannot predict. Expect nothing. In doing so, you ensure that nothing has the power to rush you, weaken your resolve, or break your focus. Claim this autonomy now by dropping "I rule myself" in the comments. If this perspective resonated with you, subscribe to Opus Wisdom and turn on notifications. Our next video details how to apply this autonomy to the construction of your professional empire. Go execute.